On this episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast, we talk about the band Hundredth. We talk about their sound change going from melodic hardcore to shoegaze, and we battle it out deciding if a band should have to change their name when they change their sound as much as Hundredth did. So thanks for jumping on and let's open this pit up.
Somebody hit somebody!
Welcome everyone to this episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast. I'm Kyle and I'm joined with Josh and Trevor, the three amigos. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man.
I'm dying right now. So if you hear me cough like a madman, you know why.
Josh has Ebola. So
Ebola,
Yeah.
COVID.
Anthrax, not the band.
Yeah, anthrax. All of it.
So,
It's pretty
dude,
rancid.
I ended up with pneumonia this week, so I feel like I'm like struggling to breathe right now just talking to you guys.
Really? I do that a lot. I take people's breath away.
Yeah. So, well, what have you guys been up to?
Got in-laws in town. Good old Thanksgiving around the corner. And so I am in my bedroom tonight so that I don't disrupt them. But yeah, they're here for a few days and we've got 2 Thanksgivings. What are you guys doing for Thanksgiving?
Mm,
Doing it at my house, and you know, I started prepping the turkey tonight, so nothing like being elbow deep inside a turkey. You know what I mean?
yeah, dude. You're stuffing it real good.
Yeah, I freaking love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays. There's just nothing better, and there's nothing more American than sitting around stuffing your face watching football. Like, it's the epitome of America. It's perfect.
I mean, it truly is, right?
Yeah,
I don't.
no, seriously, I would say it's more American than the 4th of July.
Oh, I
'Cause, like,
agree with that.
This actually embodies what it means to be American, like overeating and watching people get a bunch of CTE. Like it's perfect.
Oh,
And then
man.
making random online rants, pretending that you're changing the world.
Yeah, I mean, you're fighting with family over politics, you know. Then you go and like spend a whole bunch of money and fight each other at stores on Black Friday. Like,
Which that doesn't even happen anymore. I'm actually a little bit disappointed that tradition has changed.
What?
Like,
you're disappointed that people aren't getting trampled into
yes,
boxes
man.
anymore.
I am disappointed that we don't have the annual video of the old ladies fighting over the doorbusters. Thanksgiving's ruined
It's true
because of
because
that.
I just watched Jingle All the Way. And I was
Yeah.
like, it doesn't play out like that anymore. You know, it's a
No,
bummer.
exactly. So
I always like my goal was always I always wanted to get in a Speedo and then like Vaseline lube my whole body up and then go to Black Friday so I could just like slip in and out of there, man. No one could stop me.
dude, I mean, that's essentially a mosh pit, right? Like everyone gets sweaty and you just slide off of each other anyways. Like,
Do you think it just doesn't happen anymore, or do you just not go out and see it happen anymore?
no, I still go out every year, but the crowds just aren't the same. Like, it's not fighting anymore. It's just you're wandering around Target the same, and it's a 10-minute longer line than before.
Hold
So
on,
it's
I'm
just
going
a
to stop you there.
stupid day.
I don't think there's much fighting at Target. You need to be at like Walmart.
It's true.
So you're
Walmart.
saying,
There's a
I'm
little
going
bit.
to
There's a
extreme
little more
stores.
respect ground at Target. But if you go to the Walmart on like 1300 South, 300 West down there in Salt Lake, like you're good. You pull up a little camp chair, have a good time. It's not
I
bad.
guess that's true. So you're just saying, I gotta go to the sketchy parts of town.
Yeah, you're
Instead
going to
of
the wrong
going-
store.
Listen, I'm okay with like fighting people for items and stuff. I'm not okay getting stabbed. Like there's a line to walk here.
Well,
Yeah.
exciting times. So, what about new music? You guys got any new music? I know Trevor sent us one today.
Yeah. So a couple things. The one I sent you guys, the Hope Conspiracy, 4-song EP. It is awesome. I know, Kyle, you said you listened to it. Josh, did you listen to that one?
I did not.
Yeah. It's like when we've talked about our preference for full albums versus EP, they nailed it. It's 10 minutes, 4 songs. You can listen to it anytime and get an awesome fix of just good, fast metal music kind of thing. Couple two steps, couple breakdowns. It was fantastic. And it was a surprise. I don't think that they didn't talk about it or anything like that. So just new music coming out of nowhere, which is awesome. But it's called Confusion, Chaos, Misery. So you should listen to it.
It's cool.
I just been listening to that band, Cast in Blood, the one I sent you guys the other day.
Yeah.
They were cool.
Did a split with Foreign Hands, but then they have that album that came out in 2017 before, which I think is awesome.
So are they like coming back? Because they haven't had an album in a while, and then they did that split. Like, are they coming back? Are they doing more?
So they're from Connecticut, and they call themselves metalcore. To be honest, I don't really know. I know that one show was happening tonight, that Dying Wish, and they're with Foreign Hands and Boundaries.
Yeah.
Which I will say I'm super bummed. I knew about the Dying Wish, but I didn't know that they were with Foreign Hands and Boundaries, because I probably would have gone for those two bands.
Yeah.
But
it's a good show.
But no, I think it's like I was telling you, like if I had to pick a genre just to listen to probably forever, it would probably be that, whatever that is.
Impending Doom finally dropped the rest of their EP. It was just 3 songs. I am reporting back. 2 of the 3 are good.
Okay.
It's deathcore. So
let's say I've probably heard it before. Is it really fast blast beats with some crazy heavy breakdowns and low growls?
Yep, basically.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, but in terms of deathcore, like they do it right. So
I'll go listen to it out of respect for Impending Doom.
Yeah,
I don't think it's ever going to be as heavy as their first record.
Nail Dead Risen. Is that what that one was?
That was like unreal.
Dude, that was such a good album.
I remember I went through like a little phase of it was just like them and With Blood Comes Cleansing, and that was all I listened to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you went through an early deathcore phase.
Yeah.
I would sit in your basement and be like, what are we listening to right now? Because this is the time where we're like typically listening to like A Day to Remember and stuff like that. And here comes Kyle with Blood Comes Cleansing and Impending Doom.
Yeah,
so
A Day to Remember.
Blood Comes Cleansing's got new stuff out. So
nice.
A Day to Remember was that gateway band to other mysteries of the metalcore.
Dude, they really were.
Well, I haven't really been listening to anything new because I've pretty much just been listening to Christmas music. So
that's such a terrible thing.
No, it's not. That is November 1st. Christmas music comes on, and you both can suck it.
I was going to tell Trevor, you shut your whore mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
No, man.
Dude, I am not going to be visited by 3 ghosts. All right? Halloween ends, Christmas
This is
starts.
not a Scrooge thing.
Yes, it is exactly.
This is just terrible music. Does not deserve to be played for 2 months straight.
It's not terrible. What is wrong with you? Christmas music is not terrible. It's great.
I'm going to buy you a humbug hat.
Yeah, seriously. You're going to get visited by 3 ghosts.
Lucky. Maybe Mariah Carey's ghost. But
nice.
Since that's every other song that comes on in Christmas music.
It's worth it, dude. Freaking Kelly Clarkson Christmas albums. Rip. Leona Lewis Christmas album. Rips, dude. They're so good. Dustin Kentry's got a Christmas album. Awesome. August Burns Red Christmas stuff. Awesome.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that one's awesome. Yeah, every year they release new songs too. They did the Home Alone one last year, and Home Alone is like
they just dropped their new one. What was the new one they just released?
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was just like 2 days ago.
NSYNC has a Christmas album.
Nice.
Did you know they dropped a new song? NSYNC?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did. It's the new Trolls song.
Oh, because of Trolls?
Oh, yeah. That doesn't count.
No, it counts. It's actually really good.
August Burns Red is Up on the Housetop. Is the one they just dropped.
That's sick. Dude, one of the breakdowns in their first one, what song is it?
Carol of the Bells.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for a Christmas song to break down as hard as it does.
See, that one was awesome. I really liked the Carol of the Bells that they did. Up on the Housetop, I mean, come on, man.
They're all good.
We don't need that. So
they redid the All I Want for Christmas Is You, and it's got the lead singer in like the Mariah Carey outfit, like doing the same pose as she did. It's freaking hilarious, dude. I love it. Christmas.
So the
all
band
time.
we're talking about this week.
Bah humbug,
No, just
man.
kidding.
Bah humbug. But seriously
I don't
though, we can jump right into it because I think we got a lot to say about it. So today we are talking about the band 100th. We are finally going to put to rest Trevor's stupid argument about bands changing their name. So, yeah, did you guys get a chance to listen to their music? What'd you think?
I did.
listen to every album, every EP, and was it 80% of it's good?
Okay. Well, Josh, do you have that mute button we were talking about earlier? All right. So, the reason why I picked this band, honestly, I feel like each of us, especially while doing this podcast, we've kind of talked about not necessarily massive bands, a few smaller bands that have just really resonated with us, right? Like Josh had Conditions, Trevor had like Neck Deep and stuff, and Dead and Divine.
Neck Deep is the small band you
Sure.
pick.
Not as, I mean, to me it is. They're not as big as like the good ones, but okay. So
No,
Dead and Divine. There you go.
Yeah.
So my band that falls into that category is Hundredth. For some reason, this band, for all their albums, has just absolutely resonated with me. And I've said it before, anything melodic, I'm down with. Like my hardcore playlist is like 80% melodic hardcore. Love it. So something about this band, the music, the lyrics, I've always really liked the lyrics. Yeah, just always been a big fan of Hundredth, even their newer albums, and we'll get there. So formed in 2008 from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I don't know what it is about South Carolina, but like the few hardcore bands that come out of there are usually just awesome. Like I think Stretch Armstrong, South Carolina. There's a couple new ones coming out, like Reviler. I don't know if you've heard them out of South Carolina. They rip. Awesome. Pretty cool hardcore scene that I don't think a lot of people would appreciate coming out from South Carolina. So I thought it was cool. They said their biggest influence for their hardcore stuff was Shai Hulud. Are you guys surprised by that?
No.
So
Yeah.
they had an EP in 2008. I couldn't find it. Could you guys find it? It was like self-released and stuff. Did you guys find it all?
That's the one that I didn't listen to. I started with the 2010 album, When Will We Surrender? But yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. If they're a band that goes anywhere, it more or less is typically the same. The one thing I did see that sounded pretty interesting, though, is they said when they started, they were less metalcore and more like As Cities Burn. So that 2008 one might have been pretty interesting to listen to. Gonna have to track it down.
And maybe
Put it
not
that
as
way.
surprising with their sound change after, right?
Yeah.
Well, what I thought was interesting too is going into their first full-length album, When We Will Surrender. This is 2010. It's on the label Media Scare. That is a dope first album.
Oh, it was good. It's
And
so
to like
good.
not hear their EP and to go right into this first full length, it's like, dang, like this album smacks. What did you guys think about it?
Exactly what you said. It's so good. When we got started, I texted you guys and I was just like, man, this is what I love. This is what I like to listen to. The melodic hardcore, it's exactly kind of up my alley. Really, really enjoy this one. And so disappointed now the way that they've gone with this after hearing just how good they were. So
Did you get a chance to listen to it, Josh?
Oh, yeah.
Josh, what did you think?
Oh yeah, I played with Hundredth a few times.
Sick.
And it was in this era of when they had this album come out when they were touring a lot more. Yeah, that first song that I heard was Desolate, was like their first single.
Yeah.
And they dropped that music video. I really like the song Betrayer. That song is so good live. When these guys played, they would play in these like six, or how to explain, like 6/12 cabs. So all their cabs almost looked like full stacked all the way across. And so they were just super loud. Their singer was like super short. I remember that. But like they had a ton of energy. But they sounded just like the record. And they were a Christian band.
yeah,
They almost kind of followed the like.
I think for the first couple albums because we'll get into some of their later albums.
This
I
was
don't think
kind of the era of bands that were doing metalcore, but also doing the Christian thing. Like I know you mentioned as Cities Burn. Another band that tried to kind of mimic off of them actually was Confide. They had actually and they followed the same suit of being a Christian band, and were definitely more along the lines of metalcore in their earlier stuff. So that, to me, that was kind of, they fell in the same category as that.
Well,
Yeah.
in case you were wondering, with you playing with them, they probably didn't like you. So
Probably not.
something we're going to be talking about, because apparently the singer's kind of a dick. So
He is.
Yeah,
He is really short, and
I'm not surprised hearing that after reading some of the interviews with him. So yeah, Media Scare. I don't know much about this label. I looked at some of the bands that were on it, like Bury Your Dead, The Ghost Inside was on there for a little bit. Lionheart was on there. It Prevails was on there for a little bit. So not like a super bad lineup at all, but the guy that produced this album did stuff like H2O
nice.
and Newfound Glory, Atreus. He helped with Thrice. It's just interesting to hear. Like, I don't know how much people care when we get into like record labels or people that produced it, but I just thought it was interesting that for a first album to get on a label like this that has heavy hitters, that has a producer that's done huge bands in the scene, and then like their first album comes out just absolutely swinging. I even think they have a song with guest vocals from the guy from The Ghost Inside on the first album?
Was that the first one, or was that on Let Go? Was that on number 2?
I think it's on Let Go.
Oh, is it? Okay. Okay. Maybe it was. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, those two albums, like, in all honesty, like a lot of melodic hardcore, it sounds, we say this about every freaking genre, but a lot of it sounds the same, right?
Sure.
The one thing is, though, like, I really attach to this, though, because although it's in the same vein, it's unique. It's different. Josh, you talk about stuff that you just like to listen to, like the guitars and things like that. It's always interesting. Even if it does sound the same, deathcore gets boring because it's all chuggy chug. It's all, the couple fast riffs and stuff like that. Melodic hardcore, like, it's like post-hardcore. You can do so much with it that you can just be so different and varied and everything. But it does make it so that the records tend to blend together a little bit, in my opinion. But it's all interesting and good.
Well, because I was going to say that I don't even know that different bands and melodic hardcore sound very different. Like,
yeah,
you could put on Counterparts and you could put on these guys, and I'd be like, if it wasn't for me actually knowing these bands, I'd be like, yeah, they sound the same. But I'm okay with that because, like you said, Trevor, this is a genre that like just kind of clicks with me. I just really like it. I don't care. I want them to all sound the same because I like that sound. So,
I mean, maybe that's the whole appeal of mumble rap. You just don't understand who you're listening to.
I think those people got hit in the head too many times. And,
they took their helmet off too early.
Next album, Let Go. I about said Let It Go. Been listening to too many Disney songs with my kids. That album came out in 2011. So I feel like the last album wasn't as melodic. I feel like that one was just kind of more heavy. There was a little bit of melodic hardcore to it, but this album, I feel like they really found their stride in melodic hardcore. So what did you guys think about this album?
I thought it was a good follow-up. What do you think, Trevor?
They took what they did well on the first one and they just elevated it. I think that their musicianship got a little bit better. I think that they were able to write a little bit better. So some of the guitar parts and things like that, it just is a little bit elevated. And so I do think that, like Josh just said, it's a good follow-up album. It didn't blow you away, right? Like it wasn't so different. It wasn't so much away from that first one where you were like, oh my gosh, kind of thing. Like there's a couple albums that do that for you, where like the one that's coming to mind right now is A Day to Remember. Going from Those Who Have Heart to Homesick, it was like Homesick was just like, holy cow. Like it was just different. And this, like, you just didn't get that vibe with it. It's still good. It's great, actually. But that's how I felt about it.
So, what's interesting looking at this album is all the bands that we've talked about that have been like genre defining bands. Thursday, A Day to Remember, even Parkway, like their second albums are usually the ones that are like the best, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel like that with these guys, and maybe that's why they don't have this long 20-year career of playing this kind of music. And I don't know, it's just kind of funny. It could just be one of those things that we're looking too much into, but it's like
Well,
this
like
second was not as good.
I
It was
kind of
still good.
feel maybe not as much, but I kind of feel like for me, it's the same way as it's the same as like Parkway Drive for me. So like the song "Remain and Sustain" off Let Go, that was I think the first single they released off this record, and that song is hands down a very well better written song than anything they wrote off of their first album. The differences, the adding the clean vocals, the different bridge patterns, the chanting vocals at the end, like like it had all of it,
Yeah.
but they also blew their wad on that song, in my opinion, because no other song on that record is up to par with that one.
Oh man. See, I think Weathered Town, 100%. Weathered Town
And
is so freaking good.
but like when you look at When We Will Surrender, they're all within sixes
Okay.
of each other. They got better in a sense, but like the first record is all around better.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. It feels like their first record is, yeah, more consistent song to song.
Yep.
Right.
And the other one's just got like a few good ones, and the rest are kind of like
On Let Go, the highs are really high and the lows are pretty low. Right.
Exactly.
I agree with that. So Weathered Town is my favorite song. I remember watching the music video for it like the first time and seeing the dude on stage and he spit up in the air and then caught his spit in his mouth. And I was like,
Nice.
I can't watch that. I like the music, man, but that's freaking weird.
I did really like, I mentioned it when we were texting earlier. I did like the cover of Johnny Cash, Hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely a different take on it, but it's really good.
It's an interesting take. I was 50-50 on it. I like it, and I think that they did it well to be on this album, but like the initial vocals where it's like distant and stuff like that, I thought it was kind of weird. Thought it was kind of cheesy, to be honest, but I don't know.
Some interesting stuff. I like throwing these in. I don't know if people care, but the two guys that produced it, Ryan Letrue, he's from For Today, did some stuff with Nothing Left and Sleeping Giant. And then Baron Bodner, who worked on As Blood Runs Black and The Ghost Inside. So
Nice.
you can kind of tell maybe a little difference in influence from guys that have heavier bands, whereas their first album had more of like a traditional hardcore kind of pop punk, even with Newfound Glory influence. So the next, then they released 2 EPs. These EPs are kind of like they're always considered together, right? I think they were 2 different releases, but when you talk about them, it's like, yeah, but when you talk about them, they're always categorized like being the same, like Revolt / Resist.
Yep.
So we can start with Revolt since it came out before, but I think it's definitely their heaviest album. It got a little bit darker, like lyrically. I think we talked about this a second ago. You start to feel the change in kind of where they're at as a band and like spiritually or like mentally or whatever. So what did you guys think of Revolt?
It's probably like their first swift in like changing their sound, I guess you could say. Because to me it was a lot faster, a lot more punk, not much melodic hardcore in it. I didn't get that vibe from it like the first 2 records at all.
Yeah, no, it definitely leans more into the metalcore realm for sure. I really liked them. I actually like these albums, the Revolt Resist. I like it more than Let Go. So I welcome the change here.
Yeah.
We'll talk about other changes that are not so welcome. But
Trevor's just waiting. He's just waiting to get past Free, man. Just waiting.
I'm itching. No. Like,
so
they're good. They're good. They're heavy. So, like you said,
Resist is my favorite album, EP
it's
or
really
whatever
good
from them. This one, they do lean very much into the melodic part. Manifest is probably a top 10 song in general for me. The ending to that song, where it's like the really ambient melodic part after he like, it does the like background screaming, you know, where it's like not really loud. And then it goes into that like really cool melodic ambient guitar, just physical reaction inducing part, Trevor. All right. Physically inducing reactions.
Get those
So.
physical reactions, my man.
Did
No, I
you
really
have any
like
thoughts
these.
specifically around Resist or?
It's really good. I think I prefer Revolt over Resist,
Okay.
like that group of songs.
Yeah.
It just is a little bit heavier, right?
So the next album then in 2015 is called Free, and they signed the Hopeless Records for this album. Production quality is a lot better, I felt like. The album did not feel as heavy. They have a couple heavy songs like, was it Break Free?
Yeah, Break Free's heavy.
Days is my favorite song on it, again, because it's got I don't know, kind of like what Josh was saying earlier, their highs on their songs, like the top songs that they produce are just so freaking good. The melodic hardcore in the song Days is like, if you looked up a dictionary of melodic hardcore, that's a song that I would put up against any other melodic hardcore band. It is so good. But I do feel like they are starting to lose a little bit of interest in heavy music in this album. So what did you guys think?
So specifically Days, that drum pattern is like, what would you say? What's the word? A calling
Magical?
card of melodic hardcore. You know what drum pattern I'm talking about?
No.
Like if you listen to the beginning of Days, it's like I'm not a drummer. Like I don't know how to describe this, but just go like listen to it, and it's in a ton of melodic hardcore, and that beat is what always amps me up. Like that is like the rhythm, the pattern and stuff that I love in melodic hardcore. It's fast, it's upbeat, it's aggressive still. It uses a lot more bass and stuff like that. And it's the one where like you're going and you know at some point it's gonna kind of cut and there's gonna be a breakdown in there somewhere, you know. So like I love that song. It's such a
Yeah.
good song. And yeah, but you're right. They started to lose their interest in this and yeah, wrote a pretty scathing.
What did you think of this album, Josh?
I thought it was good, but I also think it's insane to hear the difference in just 5 years of these guys being a band. From 2010 to 2015,
Yeah.
you have 3 full lengths and 2 EPs. So pretty much every year, if you were to map that out, is a new record. Plus they're touring. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was anything special. Like I remember when it came out, listening to it, it was kind of one of those like, I actually had to go and look who it was because I didn't recognize it was Hundredth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't give it much of a chance, but like not saying it was bad. I just was into other stuff at the time, but it's a good record. Definitely, I don't think is a good follow up from the first 2 full lengths.
Yeah.
And this where I agree with you. That's where kind of they start to take a different dive, a different direction in their writing.
Well, it's really interesting because Revolt and Resist, I feel like were so good.
Mm-hmm.
And then to follow it up with this on a new label, I wonder if at this point they're just like, you know what, we signed a Hopeless because they expected a heavy album, and here it is. And then they're done, right? And then they're like, that's it. That's the last heavy album.
Well, I read somewhere,
we put it out because we had to.
And maybe it's to the next album, Trevor's favorite, but they like switched they switched members. They like kicked out a guitarist and brought back an original guitarist.
That's the next one.
So,
yeah. But I mean, but that says enough, right? That shows that they're already like the band's already kind of spiraling, right? And they say it in the interview, and we're going to get into it, but they say it in an interview that like the tank is empty on that kind of music. You know, they even say that it's just a paycheck at that point. You know,
yeah. I mean, they're very clear about it.
Very clear about it. A couple things I wanted to jump into before we get into their other good albums is some of the tours they did. Do you guys remember this tour with Sleeping Giant? It was For Today, Impending Doom, 100th, and Sleeping Giant. It was in 2012.
Yeah, I think it came through Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was at that church.
Foursquare Church. Yep.
Do you remember that show? Did you go to this?
I did.
It was wild.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a
Freaking
blast.
wild, dude.
Josh, you got a little smirk on your face. I feel like there's a backstory here.
Dude, that church was so old. So this was the church that Tommy Green used to do his worship stuff at.
Uh-huh.
So it had a basement. If you went down to the basement and got to see people moshing, you could literally see the bricks and stuff like falling. There was like concrete and stuff all over the floor.
I think me and you went to that one, Josh, because I remember the show, and I remember being in the basement being like, we're going to die because this thing's like 900 years old.
Yeah, that church ended up getting demolished because it was literally sinking. It became like a, I don't know what you call it, not a living structure anymore. And so they demolished it. But man, they had Dead End Path played there, Plea for Purging, Backtrack, Take Offense. Zabalba played there one time with Gaza. Man,
it was a cool venue.
There's a lot of bands that came through there. But I remember that show specifically. There was a band from Salt Lake, Cool Your Jets, opened up. But that was a fun time.
They did a tour with like The Ghost Inside, Every Time I Die, Backtrack.
Dude, they toured with amazing bands.
They did like Lionheart and Shai Hulud tour. They did a Ghost Inside with First Blood and D's Nuts. I mean, I just don't know how you go from tours like that to what they release next. But I mean,
listen, man,
talk about the heyday of hardcore, man, because holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
These guys specifically are why I'm digging my heels in on this.
Well, look, none of those bands, though, were touring anymore. 2017 Sleeping Giants done. For Today, they were done. Got the whole backlash from the one guitarist. Impending Doom, still a band, but not as active as they were.
But like,
I don't think that's the reason why they stopped making this music. And what they actually call out a lot of, and this is what kind of pissed me off. It's one of those things where it's like, don't meet your heroes, and it's like, don't research your favorite bands, because it kind of pissed me off. Hearing like all the crap.
Talking about this article?
Okay. I don't know. We can get into it now. All right. We can get into it now. I just wanted to show, like, I don't know how you go from like touring with some of the all stars of hardcore, dude, and then put out an album like Rare, which is the next album, completely changed their sound, turned into a complete like shoegaze indie band,
and set fire to the scene.
Is that what they said?
They went all in on this. Did you? So you read through the Clairvoyant article?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. 2017, they put out this article, and the dude just tees off on everyone. It like hurt me to read this kind of thing. He basically like said, we didn't get along with any of the bands who we were touring with, which all those guys were pretty dang close, right? You talk about Sleeping Giant bringing on the dudes from For Today, bringing on Impending Doom. Like, it was a close-knit group. And you have Hundredth, who's getting invited and welcomed to all of these tours, and they are just taking it for granted. And he says in that article, he's like, we must have been the only ones there who just thought that everything that was going on was just lame. Like, he just blasts.
Cringe was the word he was using.
Cringe and lame.
He's like, we were sitting there looking at everything and being like, man, this is super cringy. Like, how did we not see how cringy this was before? And I'm like, bro, that's cringy.
Like, how can you be part of the scene, and how can you do that and just be like, man, this is dumb? You just like don't get it. You obviously just don't get the scene.
They come out saying that their like main influence is Shai Hulud. Well, bro, you toured with Shai Hulud. That's like me saying, hey, my favorite basketball player is Michael Jordan, and then I play on his team. And then like 10 years later, I'm going to come back and be like, dude, Michael Jordan sucks. Michael Jordan's cringe. It's like, no, dude, you're an idiot.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, man.
This is riling me up, especially because like I don't hate their new albums. It's good music.
You shouldn't hate their album because of him.
No, music's still good.
Like, I appreciate candidness. I appreciate someone speaking their mind and being willing to speak their mind. Like, very frankly, he just said, we were done with it. We didn't want to do it anymore, which good for you guys. This makes me dig my heels in all the more and say, why the heck are you still keeping the band name 100th then? If you hated the scene so much that you're going to blast it and do all of this stuff, change your freaking name, separate yourselves, get rid of every ounce of respect that you had from the scene and do something else.
I mean, okay,
maybe it's
so
pettiness.
first of all,
Maybe they're like, we're taking the name and we're changing it
maybe
to a different music.
I will say that
you know?
part of me agrees with you, Trevor, that it's like if you're going to come in and bash on the scene that got you to where you're at, and you think you're going to like mooch off of the name that got you there because you changed that, you're right. I'll give you that one. However, and we're going to get into it in a second because I want to finish their discography. I don't think they should have changed it. I don't think they had to change the name at all. But I do agree to the point of like, if you're going to come in and like just totally flame and attack the scene that made you big, then yeah, maybe you should have. But hold on, let's get through the rest of their discography. So Rare comes out in 2017, still on Hopeless. What was interesting is they were like, hey, we're going to record a completely different sound. And if the label doesn't like it, they can drop us. We don't care.
Yep.
I kind of respect that to a degree where it's like, you're going to stick it to the label and write the music you want to write. I'm all right with that. I think that's cool. I feel like Rare actually rips way harder than it should. The Neurotic song from them on that album is a top 3 song that they've written. It's incredible. The way that they were able to integrate some of the shoegaze music with, because they still had a little bit of heaviness in that song, it's perfection. It is so freaking good. So before Trevor, because I know what Trevor's going to say, Josh, how do you feel? Okay, hold on. So maybe we do it this way. You got Rare 2017, and then you have Somewhere Nowhere in 2019. Both of them are shoegaze, kind of indie pop albums. Completely changed their sound. Very different. Josh, what did you think about those 2 albums?
So I like Rare. I also like Title Fight Hyperview. I like Balance and Composure. To me, this is the genre they went, that direction, or like Basement.
Yeah.
So, like the shoegaze style. It is very good, but you know, to an extent, yeah, when I first heard it, I would have never guessed it was 100th. I'd have to look. And then I'd probably think, oh, someone else took the 100th name. But it's all the same band. I think it's a good album. And like, okay, like it's 2017. So that's 2023. 13 years ago, I probably would have thought this would have sucked. Because I was into what 100th was releasing in 2010. But me now, I would probably listen to this record more than I would their early stuff just in a regular day, putting something on to like do something.
Yeah, dude. I was out like weeding my flower bed today with Rare and Somewhere Nowhere on, and I was like, this is great. It's sunny. Mm-hmm. It's a calm day. I'm doing yard work. It was perfect music to put on there.
Trevor's over there.
Trevor literally just like tried to jump. So, okay, Trevor, let's hear it. Just get it over with.
Honestly, like it's not bad music. Like I'll just put it out there. Like
I've been suspense for you to say it's not that bad.
I've been riling you guys up for a week now. Like it's not horrible. It's actually okay, but it does disappoint me that it did come from the band 100th. The music's fine. Like this album is much different than Somewhere Nowhere because they incorporate way more guitars. There's a lot more heaviness to it. There's times where I actually feel like it sounds very reminiscent of current Devil Wears Prada. Like there's heavy guitar parts like on new Devil Wears Prada song that if they wanted to lean into that part, they could do heavier stuff with it. They chose to go lighter. And then there's times where it sounds like new AFI as well. Like the song Youth could have been on the Bodies album. So it's the style of music that's popular, I guess, so to say, with like our genre of music who wants to change. This is the way that they typically change. So
it's either this or they go super folksy.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not a bad album. I am extremely disappointed that this album though is under the 100th name. And that's what I'll say.
All right, let's get into it then. You like the music, but you're hung up on a freaking name? Why? Why does this band have to change their name?
Because honestly, like if I'm gonna go put on 100th, I want to listen to melodic hardcore. If I want to go and I want to pull a Kyle and I want to do random songs, I want all of those songs to be within the same genre. I don't want to be listening to something from those first 2 albums, 3 albums, or Resist and Revolt, and then go to something off of Rare. I don't want that. I want it to be separate. I'm gonna get flamed. I know I'm gonna get flamed. This like makes me like even more so with Somewhere Nowhere, because that album is just so far different. Had they stuck more to the Rare album sound, okay, maybe. But when you go all the way to Dream Pop, that's where I'm just like, yeah, you've lost me.
So I'll agree that like I'm not a huge fan of Somewhere Nowhere. It
I
gets a
actually
little
like Somewhere
too
Nowhere more.
Really?
Yes.
That's wild.
I
That's
like
freaking
Somewhere
wild.
Nowhere more.
No, that's wild. It's way too poppy for me. I'm not like an 80s robot, so synth music to me just sometimes doesn't do it. Like I know you're a Breathe Carolina fan. Like I would rather like drag my scrote across freshly laid concrete than listen to Breathe Carolina. So that stuff just I cannot stand like synth electronic music. It just no.
You tell me you
Not
don't like
gonna do it.
Depeche Mode?
Excuse me?
You don't like Depeche Mode?
Depeche Mode?
Depeche Mode?
Yeah.
No. I don't like any of that.
Oh man. Listening to these guys, I went and threw on The Cure yesterday because I was just like, we might as well pull from the influence that they're pulling from.
Yeah, but I don't feel The Cure's not okay. There's like one song from Depeche Mode that I'm all right with, but yeah, I just don't do synth music. So I asked people online. I did a bunch of reading online. I asked random people about bands that should change their name, and I used Hundredth as the example. I got tons of responses of saying, absolutely not. You don't have to change your name. Let's find some of these comments that I thought were pretty interesting.
So did you start this off by saying one of my other members on my podcast is an idiot and saying that everyone should change their name?
Okay. I absolutely did.
So you set the stage for that.
So they said it's the band's name. It's not the music's name. If a band no longer makes music that you like, the answer is you stop listening to them, not that they should change their name.
Terrible take.
I don't think it's a terrible take, man. Let's see. What else? How do you feel about it, Josh? Because you haven't really said much. You think they should have changed their name?
No. I think if you want to listen to metalcore, we've all kind of said the same. Like AFI, for example, their stuff is early punk. Their later stuff is emo pop or whatever. And I don't really want to listen to something from Shut Your Mouth and Open Your Eyes to Bodies, or Hundredth, the early stuff to Free. So in those cases, if I want to just listen to the band, I'll just shuffle the band. But if I want to just listen to like somebody's first record like that, I'll just search that band and search them on a playlist that says metalcore that is aligned with other bands like Counterparts and stuff like that, because 9 times out of 10 they're not going to be picking the stuff off of Free. They're going to be picking the stuff off the first record and mixing it with everything else, and I just listen to that genre.
Yeah, I mean, people grow. Like,
take your logic and shove
it. So here's some of the other comments, and I wanted to. So look, I mean, 2 out of 3, the 700 people online. Okay, it wasn't 700 people. It was like 100 people online said that you don't have to change your name. So Trevor's 0 for 2 on stuff like this. But some people did bring up a couple interesting points that I do think there's some caveats to this, because I truly believe in the case of AFI, in the case of 100th, even in the case of Parkway Drive, A Day to Remember, you grow, you change, your music changes. It's fine. You don't have to change your name. You've put the time in. Now a lot of people said, one, and this is a question for you guys, if there's no original members in the band anymore, should they change the name? So the example is Norma Jean. There is not a single original member from Norma Jean. Should they have to change their name?
Okay, so I actually typed this. I didn't even look, full honesty here. I did not look up anything to do with your Reddit post. I have this question typed out.
Okay.
I literally do all my
Yeah.
notes.
Okay.
So, because the reason why I thought of this is, let's say in the day and age we currently live in, where things can go viral in a second, and Hundredth has already said, we will not play anything before Rare at this point. We've disowned it.
Okay, so that's a different example because I actually did want to ask you that.
Okay.
Just let's get to that one in a second.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah, because I do. That was like number 2 of the asterisks. So
Okay.
The first one though, and Josh, maybe you want to jump in here, is if there's no original members left in the band, is it fair that you keep the name?
I think there's plenty of bands that don't have original members. I mean, Underoath didn't have one original member at one point. As soon as Aaron left.
Are you okay
That's
with
true.
that? Are you okay with these guys not having original members and still having the name? Because like my biggest thing is like in the case of Norma Jean, all right, like is it fair that they get to play Memphis Laid to Waste even though none of them wrote it? It's not their song.
If you look at it as like you're a local band, yeah, it's probably not fair. But as soon as you sign to a label and sign your rights away, more or less,
That music's not yours.
music's not yours. The music becomes the labels, and if the labels got to fulfill it, the labels, and there's 2 people willing to left to play, they will find people to bring them in.
Okay.
So like my actual take on this is, the way that this typically happens is it's pieced, right? Like a guitarist leaves, so they bring in a new guitarist. The bass player leaves, so they bring in. It takes time. It's not typically the entire band quits and then a new band comes in, which is the example of Life Ruiner. The entire band quit and a new band just picked the Life Ruiner name and played Life Ruiner songs. That is crap.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like
So, but you're
That's
so you're
band.
okay then with Norma Jean playing songs off of Redeemer even though none of them are there.
Well, are there still people from Redeemer?
I don't think so.
It's turned over that much at this point.
I don't think there's a single like from like the first like 2 albums. I don't think there's a single member left over.
There's not there's not an original member from Chelsea Grin either.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true too.
So I don't know, like that's different just because it like continues to like layer onto each other, and like typically like those newer members have met the older members and like they played with them at some point in time, and there's like it's usually like a mutual respect kind of thing. So I don't typically care about that. In the situation I mentioned, like the Life Ruiner thing where everyone quits, everyone hates them, and so a new band just like comes together to play the old Life Ruiner, like that's that's garbage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Become original, write your own music.
So I agree with you there. I also think, especially like even in the case of Norma Jean, you should change your name. I had a hard enough time going to Comeback Kid and listening to that. And I love the new Comeback Kid vocalist. Love him. I think he's awesome. But listening to him sing Wake the Dead, super hard for me. Like, but that's just a vocalist, man. Like, you're an entire band that didn't write those songs and you're up there playing it under the name of other people that wrote it for you. I don't know. That rubs me the wrong way. And maybe it's just because it takes away the authenticity of the music that was written. Like, it doesn't mean anything to you.
I mean, at this point in time, the way that the world works, and we have emo nights where it's literally just a DJ up there playing it and someone up there singing on the mic, it's all karaoke anyways. Who cares?
That's what it feels like. Dude. That's exactly what it feels like. It's just karaoke at that point.
Because like if there's a mutual respect there, like I think that's typically fine. Like, you know what I mean? I think that it gets a little bit weird when the whole band turns over. Let's use this for example. If all of Hundredth had turned over and then a new band picked up and then changed genres, like if these last 2 albums were changing, then absolutely 100%. Yes.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. And that's why I'm okay with them not changing their name because it's still majority original members and that's the music they want to play. So go ahead.
I will never get off my pedestal. Hundredth should have changed their name.
The second one that Trevor brought up.
Okay. If in the day and age that we live in, anything could go viral at any point in time. So Hundredth has come out and said, we will not play any of our old music, and it's Rare onward at this point. If one of their old songs goes big and blows up, are you okay with a new band taking it over?
Oh, that's interesting. No. I mean, no. It's no.
You don't want to hear
Hey.
you don't want to hear these songs live?
I mean, I've heard them live, but no, because again, to me, the whole draw to this music is the authenticity of it, and that doesn't feel authentic to me. I thought so. One of the points I thought you were getting at was if they don't play music like their older music, should they change their name? And I'm kind of to a point where, yeah, maybe they should. So maybe Hundredth, maybe there is a case to be made with Hundredth then on that. I thought they still played music, but I guess they don't. So
come at me, bro. Come at me, bro.
I'm just gonna edit this part out. No one's gonna
No.
know.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying though? Like, because there's a lot of bands like AFI still plays old AFI.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool, you know.
Yep. Like whether you want to play it or not, like you owe it, in my opinion, to the people who got you to where you're at. So,
but I guess in the case of Hundredth, if they're super vocal about the fact that they're not going to play it and and people show up and you can't be disappointed, then I guess I don't know. Maybe that's a harder one.
Their new stuff though, they're not going to tour with bands that project that kind of stuff anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, if you saw Hundredth on a bill, if you saw 100 on the bill, it'd be with bands you wouldn't even know. So it'd be like, it's not even worth going. They're not going to play their old stuff. There's no point.
Dude, It's literally all rap and EDM now that they tour with. So it's not even shoegaze stuff. Like a lot of the stuff that I've seen was like rap.
Yeah. But what is your opinion on that? Like Josh, you already said, the records or the labels own the music. So if all of a sudden one of these bands blows up, and
so you're saying that like Hopeless, like a band on Hopeless Records, Hopeless just tells them, "Hey, I want you guys to play 100th songs from Revolt."
If all of a sudden something from Free blows up, and everyone's like, "We have to have a 100th reunion tour," and the dudes from 100th are like, "No, screw that," and Hopeless is like, "We see a cash money opportunity right here. We're putting together 4 guys who are friends with the guys from 100th to go and play these songs." Like, would you go and check that out?
I think you'd be shocked at how much that actually happens more than it doesn't. Like, I think that happens more than you think.
Random people to play.
And I think unless you're hyper focused on it, you don't even like realize like, oh, they just got back together, but they just got a different vocalist.
Or the vocalist is the one who's carrying the name, and he just gets a whole new band.
I mean,
aka Amir.
Like Amir, for example.
No one can play with
as
Frankie.
long as they have like the right vocalist, right? Everyone else is just a pawn on the stage for the majority of bands. So, like the last time I saw Amir play, they had a computer playing 90% of their stuff.
Jeez.
And it was just Frankie.
Isn't that such trash?
Yeah, but the crowd was into it, and they still played some of the old stuff. No original members, no nothing. But like I'm like another band that had not one original member by the time they were done was Confide. Ross isn't even original.
That's true. I always put Ross as original, but he's not.
No. Their original singer was a guy named Josh. So, but on a storyboard like that, it's like, well, Josh came out, then Ross came in, then it had these original guys. Well, then the guitar player with long fingernails left. They pulled a new one in. Then the other guy quit. They pulled him in. Then the bass player was the original one. He left, and then the drummer left. And they got a new drummer, and it was just like, well, this isn't even the same band. Not even
at that point, you should change your name.
See, but that's the hard part. Like that example is exactly what I'm talking about, where it was just over time. Like for years, Ross and the other guys were playing those songs, and they had like grown into those songs, and they were the one carrying the Confide name. Like, so it makes it hard. You know what I mean? Like that's an interesting one, just because I think that it's such a organic thing that just over time things change, people change, and things like that. But these guys have been doing it for years.
Like, let's say
people change.
Like, let's say if it's
lives change, music changes, sound changes. Trevor,
I didn't say sound change, bro. The sound didn't change.
Oh yeah, it did. Listen to frickin' the Shout the Truth to the next album. It's not even the same band.
Yeah, and you know what? Joel Piper went off and did his own thing under a different band name.
Well, yeah, Joel Piper. Joel Piper should be freaking sent to Guantanamo Bay or something. I don't know what he did to that freaking band, dude. Holy cow.
Yeah, it was
Sorry,
rough.
Josh.
You know, actually, the one thing that made me so mad about Confide, that they redid Shout the Truth and put clean vocals in it. And I'm like, why on earth would you touch that masterpiece?
It killed me. You can't even find it anymore. I know, right? Okay, hold on. I got one more example of when you should change your name, and this one made me laugh pretty hard. If you're a straight edge band with X, name X, and you sell out, change your name.
There were quite a few of those, actually.
You just silent out the X's.
You drop the X's.
I know, right? You just drop the X's.
You would also be very surprised at how many bands have sold out and they play these reunion shows and then just like stay really quiet about everything that they do now.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure. So,
here's the thing: selling out 10 years ago was different than selling out today. Do people care as much today for these bands that sold out?
I feel like at this point, it's not even selling out; it's buying in.
Was that just like super deep?
Well, selling out's like you don't care anymore. Buying in's like, you know what, man? I've done this long enough. Time for a change. Nah,
I don't know.
You sell out, you still suck.
Exactly. Yeah. So the last thing I'll say before we finish up here, on the flip side, there's a couple bands that I feel like have changed their name that I'm like, why? Like Vanna, they I guess went on hiatus and then came back and now they're called In Spirit, but it's literally the same music. And I'm pretty sure most of the members are the same. And then there was a band called Mouth of the South. They're from down here in Dallas area, but they just like all of a sudden changed their name to oh gosh, why is it Rival Choir?
I'm sure that has to do with the connotation of the South. Released
one album, and I read some like interview where they're like, it didn't click. Like how did they say it? He worded it of like, it's just not like the Who We Are, the type of music, but it's literally the same music and the lyrics are like exactly the same. So like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. They're great albums. You should go check them out, but
that's funny.
I don't know. Interesting band, interesting concept. Trevor's 0 for 2 on these. So one day he'll win, but good band.
What was my other 0 for that I missed on?
Dave, you haven't CM Punk?
Oh no, man.
Trevor's got a lot of hills that he dies on, but that's why we love him. So
dig in the hills.
So, but no, in all seriousness, good band, good music, even their newer stuff. Trevor can argue, but he kind of didn't argue. It's still good music.
You don't need to listen to the last 2 albums. Just pass on them. So.
Dude, it's not like they're not as bad as like Parkway Drive's last albums.
No, exactly, and that's why I said that. Like next week, Josh, you're out of town, right?
I am. I leave on Wednesday.
Okay, so we'll figure something out. Probably be a band, but might be a little bit out there. So maybe we'll let a guest person
like Boys to Men or
Boys to Men,
New NSYNC style. The Trolls World Tour.
I actually think Josh legitimately might be upset if we do NSYNC when he's not here.
I'll cancel my trip.
Oh, let's go.
That's cool.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll put it out there. Probably try to find a guest, and maybe we'll have the guest pick. We'll see.
Cool. I'm down with that. So
cool.
Have fun on your trip, Josh. Be safe. Get feeling better.
Don't die.